How's it going? McNeil coming to you from the garage on this Saturday afternoon. And I am working on blanks today. So I took a short break from finishing these guys and decided that I should catch up with the people that are asking if there are going to be blanks for these Edwolves. I will tell you the answer is going to be yes. And the answer is also going to be yes, but not many. The reason not many is because these take a lot of time to clean up. They use a massive amount of material for each one, latex and foam and resin and, separate molds for the tongue and, all of that stuff. So these guys are a giant pain to clean. And the number of blanks is going to be super duper limited. But I thought that maybe we would talk today a little bit about cleaning up blanks, since not only am I cleaning up these guys, but I'm also working on an Amy. There's another Ed over there, Ed Wolf, that is clean. And then we'll talk about this guy in a second, but an Evil Ed blank. All of these are blanks today because for the most part, all of these are... the finished copies are sold. So Evil Ed and Amy, obviously, those runs are way done. The Ed Wolves, I may at the end have an empty slot, and I've got a couple of names on waiting list. But if you're interested in a finished one of these, shoot me a DM, and I will put your name on that list. Because you never know. And there's always, towards the end, somebody drops out, and you might get lucky if you can consider it lucky to find a slot. So anyway, there you go. That's that spiel. But let's talk about seams. So this particular guy, one of the reasons he's so quote unquote hard to clean up, or tedious to clean up, I guess hard isn't the word, but it's a lot of work, is because it's a 3-piece mold. And I don't know if you guys remember, but I went back and forth and round trying to figure out how in the world I was going to cast this guy. And ultimately what I decided was a 3-piece. So if you look here, there's a seam line here that runs all along this ear, up and over the top. That was part 1. Part 2 picks up from there, goes around the ear, comes around here, follows the jaw line all the way around, and up and around that other ear on the other side, and then here. So this part right here is part 2. And then part 3 was this part here that goes up and around the bottom of the neck. So that's part 3. And the reason I did it that way, if you have been sort of following along with this process, is that let me take this tongue out. Sorry, Ed. This is pretty thin right here. You know what I mean? Just in terms of material. There's also a couple of undercuts in here that are a little bit sketchy. And so I didn't, well, 2 reasons. I didn't want to get stuck potentially digging out clay for hours and hours and hours and ultimately maybe never getting the clay out. That was a big fear of mine. So I felt like access to this would allow me access, obviously, to this, which would make it so much easier to clean out all of this stuff in here. And then the other reason I did that was because I know that molds wear as you pour blanks or as you pour latex copies, and I wanted to prolong this mold as long as I could. And if this were a single piece filled with foam, it would be very difficult to pull this out of a mold without sanding down the inside of the mold with this rubber latex surface. So I felt like if I could make it in 3 pieces, then I'd be able to get it all out. And then ultimately, if you remember, I decided that I wouldn't be foaming these guys in the mold, and I made a plaster bandage jacket on top of blank number 2. And then what I do is I pull these guys out hollow, put it inside that plaster jacket because it fits very, very well, and then I foam them in that plaster jacket, and that has been awesome because that allows me to pull these guys away from the mold wall as I'm pulling the blank out, and keeps the surfaces from rubbing over and over and over the inside of that mold wall, thereby sanding down details and things like that. So So yeah, that's the reason we got a 3-piece mold on this guy, and luckily it worked. And you might think that this part of the snout would be difficult, and it was a little bit of a nail biter for me, but I made sure that I filled it in with enough clay up here that this undercut here with this sort of ridged gum line wasn't going to be an issue. And then I also made sure that when I sculpted it that I created enough of a shadow here to make it feel like there was separation, but I didn't dig it in so far that I would end up with a brittle edge there, because a brittle edge there may result in 1 or 2 nice pulls, but then after that, you know, you start to wear it down and you end up with air bubbles and problems and all kinds of stuff. So there you go. So anyway, let's talk real quick about cleaning up a blank. So most blanks come out of the mold like this guy. Where's my hand? There it is. See this right here, this flashing? This is where the 2 mold pieces come together. And in this case, with the Ed Wolf, I had 3 seams. 2, I guess. 1 here, and then 1 that goes around the jawline, right? So, but it's you know, literally almost twice the work to clean up one of these guys because of the seams. Not only that, it's nice because this seam is hidden mostly by hair, but I still clean them up because I'm punching hair, and I don't know what other guys are going to do with their blanks. I suggest punching hair, but let me know. I'll be really interested to see what you guys come up with. But so this one is not as critical. It's critical, like, don't get me wrong, especially up and around the ears. But this one is very critical because it is obvious. It runs the circumference of the face, and you're going to want to clean that one up pretty good. So, or I want to clean that up pretty well. So what I do is, a lot of guys, and I actually saw some conversation about what Dremel tip are people using to clean up. This one's pretty worn, but this one does a good job. This is a nice Dremel, felt Dremel head that does a good job. The pointing one is good too. I've been known to use that one. I saw somebody mention nylon brushes. I've used the nylon brush, and I don't seem to remember hating that. I think it was probably pretty good. So what I'll do is, after I trim it with a pair of scissors, that's what you're looking at here. So this is like a trim up and around. I'll come back with a Dremel, and I'll Dremel that edge down so that we end up with a much flatter version of this. And then I use this, which is something that Casey Love turned me onto. It is a wood burner, and it is crazy hot, and it melts latex. So what you can do is come in here and literally melt away your seam line. It's disgusting and toxic, and it stinks, and your clothes will smell like it, and your kids will come into the garage and ask you, "What are you doing, Dad?" But it does a really nice job of getting rid of that seam line, and it leaves behind it kind of like a brown sticky goo that you can then come back and brush away with some naphtha. But it does a nice job there, but then it also does, here, let's move this guy out of the way and take a look at this one. So, as you can see here, it does a really nice job of kind of getting rid of that seam line. Actually, here, this was all just Dremel. I haven't come up through here with the melty tool. Yeah, this is all just Dremel. But down here, you can see where I started to kind of work on getting this seam line to go away. And the other cool thing about it is you can actually add lost detail back into it, even if it's not on a seam line. If it's seam line, that's one thing, which is great. But then on top of that, you can come back and say, let's see, where's that wrinkle? Yeah, you see, like right here, that's where the seam line ran through a piece of detail. And you can actually come back through here and use this wood burning tool. Here, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. You'll see how disgusting this is. So if we come in here, where are we? Here we are. So we come in here. just melts it away. Boom. And then you come back with a little naphtha, and that little ridge will be gone. And then the other nice thing is these come with all different tips. Now this is crazy hot, so you got to be careful. But you can come back with like an edge. See, this one's good because it's flat on one side, but then if you turn it like this, you can come back here, and you can actually add wrinkles back into stuff. You can actually do detail work with it. Stuff that was maybe lost. It does get ashy, so you do have to come back through here with a brush every now and again, a wire metal brush, and clean that off. But anyway, you get the point. It's pretty great. You can do a lot of detail work. You can clean up edges. And then the other thing that it's really cool for is, let's see if I can find one. Yeah, here we go. See the little pimples that these guys have? You can come in here and basically just erase these guys. And you clean that up with naphtha, and once you put a base coat on one of these dudes, you will never ever see it. But again, well ventilated area, wear a mask, which I'm not wearing at the moment, but I'm telling you, you really should. Yeah, you could spend all day cleaning up stuff and adding wrinkles back. You're like, oh yeah, let's put a couple more wrinkles back in here. Yeah, it's pretty great to be able to go back in and clean that, have that level of control in cleaning stuff up. So that's how that works, which is great. So now I'll finish cleaning this guy up. This guy I need to clean up, so I'll start on him, get him nice and cleaned up, and then I'll have 3 of these guys. Like I say, this one though is spoken for, so I currently have 2 of these Ed Wolf blanks just kind of chilling, and they come with, like you see here, with the tongue, removable tongue, so you can paint that separate, and then a set of teeth. Oh, that reminds me, this is kind of cool. So as you can see, I got all different kinds of colors of teeth here. It's actually all the same resin. So what I figured out was epoxy resin and 5-minute epoxy and 3D resin is all, well, it's all resin. So I had bought some resin dye that I was using to tint the 5-minute epoxy that I'm using for the gums on these guys. Because I like the idea of color suspended in the clear and a little bit of that kind of depth when the light hits it, so that it's not just shiny, but there's some color in it. So I bought some epoxy dye on Amazon. Here, I'll show you. And I'm going to take these with me so we can talk about it over here. Okay, so I bought this stuff, Nick Pro resin dye, and I found that I could put 3 drops in that vat on the 3D printer, which happens to be printing at the moment. Look at that. See how it's up and down? Anyway, I could put 3 drops of resin dye in there, and I could effectively tint my 3D printer resin, which is white, which is this. These are Michael teeth from a while back that I had an extra set of, to a yellowish tooth color. So what that allowed me to do, hold on, let me back up my camera here, zoom out, is start with a color so that I'm not white trying to make it off yellow and then trying to kind of grunge them up. I can print the teeth in a nice yellowy tooth color, and then I can spend the rest of my paint time on these teeth trying to, add character to them rather than base paint them and that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's a pretty cool thing. And then this is my current layout for the teeth. Top teeth, bottom teeth. And I've got them laid out so that if you do get a blank and you get a tray of teeth like this, you'll have a pretty good idea of where all the teeth go in regard to placement, in the hip. So there you go. Anyway, so that's how that works. But in addition to that, oh my goodness, I have made a house of cards, a maze here. So yeah, as you can see, I have tons of teeth, and they're waiting to be used in these Ed Wolves. But I had somebody order both an Amy and an Evil Ed, and I poured this Evil Ed last night, and I had a mishap, and the mishap, I ended up botching the bib. I don't know if you guys have ever had something like this happen, but anyway, I would have foam filled this one and it would have been ready to go because it is otherwise a very, very good pull, but I wasn't about to send this out as a blank, even though if you were to finish this one, this would be covered by clothes. So, but I didn't want to send this out. It's just not what I wanted to do as a, you know, yeah, it could probably be fixed, but I just didn't want to do it. So as a result, I didn't foam fill this one. So I'm actually trying to figure out what to do with them at the moment. But again, if somebody's interested in this blank, let me know. We could probably work something out. Again, this one's not foam filled. It's got these blemishes here on the neckline, which would be covered by clothing. But yeah, if somebody's interested, you know, it would come with teeth and all of that stuff. We could figure something out. But yeah, that was kind of a bummer. But as a result, I am now currently drying a new version of this guy, which I've been very careful not to screw up. And then I'll fill him up with foam, and he will be ready to go, along with this lovely young lady who I also printed the teeth with a little bit of color in, just because I thought that whoever finishes this is going to end up appreciating not having to be so extreme with taking them from that sparkling bright white 3D resin to something that's a little more tooth colored. So anyway, there you go. That is what I am up to today. Cleaning, seaming, masks, getting them ready for, well, with these guys, just these two are ready to go. And then this guy I've got to clean up, and then he'll be ready to go. But these other two Ed Wolves are unspoken for. So I have a couple of these guys just chilling, waiting for somebody to finish them if there's somebody out there that wants to do it. So there you go. Hope everybody's having a good Saturday, and I will talk to you guys soon.